press.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the October edition of the Tips and Tricks SIG Special Interest Group. And we're going to go into our open forum, break out of that, and then go into a lot of the topics that I'd sent out. Now, I sent out a lot of topics for this meeting. They were a recap of topics that we did not cover last month and was asked to bring them forward to this month. Plus, I added quite a few more to it. That being said, we're going to go into our discussion. Drew was talking, there was a question that was posed to the group during our intermission before we started, and I thought I'd recap this. So Bob, you were going to bring up the question? I'm sorry, Harry had the question. Harry.
There was an observation that one of the links that you sent was interesting and helpful, about 5 tips to enhance the effectiveness of your router. One of them in particular struck me to be of value and interest, and that is the question of placement, and if possible to not have the router on a different floor if you have a 2-story house or business or office or whatever, to not have the router on a different floor than where most of the items are that will be using it. And I was just observing that as much as I would like to experiment with moving that around the house, when I switched a month ago over to fiber optic, it kind of rendered much of my need unnecessary, because almost everything other than my 3 computers, they are connected still by coax cable, LAN, but everything else is now wireless. So I'm not sure if it's worth it for me to go through all the trouble of rewiring to bring the router upstairs. So it was a broad statement question.
Okay.
Right.
And then Drew had a suggestion for how you can mitigate that process.
Right. And basically what I learned about this technology because I use a DVR that's been around a long time that you may have heard of, called a TIVO box. And TIVO boxes natively support MOCA. They have MOCA built into their boxes. And what that does is it allows the same 75 ohm coaxial cable that you watch your TV on to share the cable with a traditional TCP/IP signal, so that you can basically have a video signal that's for your cable company going around your house to plug into your TVs, and also have an Ethernet network that can go from room to room to room. And you buy the adapters, typically are purchased in a pair. They're on Amazon. A pair of adapters could go for $80, for example, and you'll get 2 adapters, or they may go a little bit more than that. And you can get up to a gigabit of Ethernet from one room to another room by connecting your network. There they are. There's a starter kit of high-speed internet adapter over Ethernet over coax. This is exactly what I was talking about. Here's a pair of them for $120. And what it does is it connects into the coax cable that comes into your room, and then it acts like a splitter, and it splits off. You can see in this picture, there's a little yellow jack on the end, which is probably the Ethernet port. Yeah, that little yellow. Yeah, it comes with Ethernet cables and everything. And what I did in my home is, instead of purchasing a mini mesh style network that has little nodes that don't have Ethernet ports on them, I bought an EaseUS router that is mesh capable. And when you buy one, it's just a router. When you buy 2, you can connect them together and make a mesh network. And what's nice about doing it with a router that is mesh capable is you have Ethernet ports on the router. And so you can take a router and put it downstairs, and another router and put it upstairs, and connect the 2 of them over coax with MOCA Ethernet. so that you have what is effectively one mesh network upstairs and downstairs. And you have Wi-Fi that is unique and strong all throughout your house.
What, is this any different than the old coax Ethernet adapters that used to go right into our computers that we used to run coax to all the machines in our business back decades ago?
Yeah, this is different. Many years ago, we ran Ethernet over coax, and it was very slow. It was an old technology.
Right.
This actually runs at up to, I think, a gigabit of speed over coax. So it's much more technologically advanced than what you had decades ago.
Yeah, I have one of these TiVo boxes for off the air, and it could be set up with MOCA, and they do advertise you get fantastic bandwidth.
If you have a need to run an Ethernet, let's say you have a spare bedroom and you would like to put a desktop computer in there that requires an Ethernet jack and not Wi-Fi. For example, I have a network attached storage server that doesn't have Wi-Fi capability, and it's not in the same room where my router is. So I bought a MOCA adapter and put it in that bedroom, and that enables me to run Ethernet into a room that's not hardwired for Ethernet. You don't have to call an electrician in and have them run Ethernet cable in your house.
Right.
You use your existing coax cable. You kind of borrow some of the bandwidth from your TV signal.
Well,
Does this cause any downgrade or degrading of the cable TV experience, say in a second room?
Not that I'm aware. I mean, I have high definition TV going in every room, and no, there's no difference. You don't notice anything.
Would this be true of 4K video?
I stream 4K video from room to room over MOCA.
Wonderful.
At the same time. Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay, I like this idea. So this is a solution for those people that already have coax ran throughout their house, but they don't have RJ45 or running around. So they can easily wire up their house if they feel they need to. What other solutions can people use for solving the problem of not having your router up high? Anyone?
The inherent question also was, does it make enough of a difference to warrant going through, a lot of stuff?
You mean the steps of putting the stuff in?
Right, I gain enough to make all the work worth it.
Well, for example, I have a box in my bedroom that doesn't support Wi-Fi. And one TiVo box can stream video to another TiVo box, but it only does it over Ethernet. It doesn't do it over Wi-Fi. And at least it didn't when I bought my boxes 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. They may stream it over Wi-Fi today. I don't know. But when I bought
they can, but it's an add-on.
It's an add-on. Okay. So when I bought mine, Wi-Fi wasn't an option. You had to have an Ethernet jack. If you wanted to watch what you recorded in the living room, in your bedroom, an Ethernet jack in the bedroom and in the living room was mandatory. It's not the case anymore. You just need to have as long as you have a coax jack in your bedroom and in your living room, you can run Ethernet through it.
Yeah, the thing about TiVo that has stalled their development is that they have not been able to gain access to the decryption codes for the next gen TV, the ATSC3. They're still working on that.
Yeah, and I don't know if TiVo is going to survive I'm shocked that they're still in business, to be quite honest. Um, I bought lifetime service with my boxes over a decade ago. So I don't pay a monthly fee for service. I just have a DVR that records, as much as I want, with no charge.
That was when TiVo was great,
Yeah.
when they offered that
And
lifetime.
But
and
yeah,
so,
because of the way it's set up, this ATSC3 licensing actually is a piece of hardware or firmware within the device, so you would need either new devices or new add-ons.
right. And considering the cable companies are one by one dumping TV altogether, I don't see how, like right now I have Comcast,
Yeah.
and I want to switch to Frontier FIOS,
Mhm.
but I don't want to lose my cable cards that I have in my TiVo boxes.
Right.
So which I will if I go to FIOS.
Right.
So what I'm actually looking to do, I'm in the process of rewiring my garage to be able to handle two cable providers at the same time.
Hmm.
And probably sometime this winter, I will have the other cable company come in, and I will have a Comcast box in my living room and a FiOS box in my kitchen. And I will have I'll pay one company for TV and the other company for internet.
Oh,
And
well.
will that TV then be, will that be then a streaming service rather than cable
No,
direct?
no, no, I'm going to keep the regular cable with the TiVo. The reason why I want to get rid of the internet and move it over to FiOS is for a number of reasons. One is I am a subscriber to cloud storage now, and I want to be able to back up my PCs to the cloud. And I want higher upload bandwidth than Comcast can provide, which is 25 megabits. And Comcast also has a 1 terabyte per month data cap limit on their plans.
Yeah.
So, and if I switch to FiOS, I pay less money per month. I get symmetrical upload and download and no cap.
I agree with you
So,
about the data cap there. That's probably my biggest qualms with Comcast is about that data cap that they put on there. And whenever I talk to the salespeople, they're like, "Oh, you don't need it. What do you have to worry about it?" Nobody ever goes over the 25, the 100. I'm sorry, the terabyte limit that they have on there. I'm like, I got a huge server that I cannot back up or do anything with online because of the fact that you got that data cap. It's just so restricting. There's no point in, the service stinks because of that.
Be careful, Sanford.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They may try to reclassify you as a business user.
Right. Well, I don't do any of that stuff online to tap into that.
No, what I mean is just from your usage patterns.
Yes. Yeah.
Because in another meeting, Ed Keating says that he almost got reclassified.
Sure. So I can see that it could be a problem. I don't like that data cap that they put on there. I think that's ridiculous that they have it.
You might want to look into their business plans if they're available in your neighborhood, because the business plans are often much more affordable.
They could be. I did not look into that. I have no intention of moving my server content to the cloud. I prefer to keep it local.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of fact or point that it's a restriction that we really don't need.
It's similar to self-hosting. And if you self-host with a lot of traffic and or a lot of users, you're likely to get reclassified as a business.
Right.
Whether you're not for profit or zero profit or even losing money, they don't care.
They don't care.
Right.
They care about traffic management.
They care about profit.
Right.
No, they care about balancing the load in their network.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Right.
They do a thing called network slicing, which divides up resources very finely.
I mean, technically, I have a server in my house that it does. I don't think it classifies me as a business user because I'm the only one that uses it. And if I'm at home, it's not transmitting anywhere. It only if I'm out and about personally, with my cellular phone or my laptop,
Yeah.
does it garner any traffic. So,
Yeah, it's really weird how they define in their EULA, which nobody ever reads, just what is a business use and what is a personal use.
but one thing I did learn is that Comcast advertises all these Wi-Fi hotspots that they have all across the country.
Yeah.
And if you're a Comcast customer, you can use these hotspots.
Hmm.
And their business customers are hotspots. And
Yeah.
like when I go to my mechanic's office, my garage to where I get my car repaired, they have Comcast business. But they do not provide free Wi-Fi for their customers. When I sit in their waiting room, I get high-speed internet from Comcast because I'm actually tapping into their router
Right, because you have
and
an
using
account.
um, with my Comcast user ID and password.
Have you found that that can sometimes get in the way when it's trying to log on to their networks all the time? Like you're driving down the street and you're trying to do something on your phone and it wants to log on to somebody else's network.
Well, I got a new phone a couple of months ago, and it was at first always telling me in the notification area that there was a Wi-Fi network available. And I watched a video that another user group was put on about a whole bunch of different ways, like 20 different things that Android users should do to their phones. And one of them was to go into settings and turn off the Android scanning for Wi-Fi networks and alerting you that there are Wi-Fi networks available. So I turned that off. So my phone doesn't tell me anymore that there are networks for me to attach to.
Mm-hmm.
It would be only too easy to get caught on a fake network, and we all know what can happen then. Man in the middle attack and all that.
And I subscribed to a VPN. And when I started they only allowed 5 devices simultaneously. Now they allow 10. So I have every computer and TV in my house, my phone, my tablet, everything is VPN.
Yeah,
Does
that
it slow
might
down
help. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, does the VPN, because I'm still wrestling with it. I haven't started using a VPN yet. Do you find your own use that it slows down, browsing and things that find in the.
It does have overhead, and if you run a speed test, you will get slower numbers downloading and uploading than you did without it. However, I have 800 megs of download bandwidth provided to me by Comcast. So if it gets cut down to 400 or 350, I don't notice anything wrong with it.
And it depends on a phone, what kind of service you have.
Yeah.
You may have limited 5G. You may have
Yeah,
less limited 5G. You might even
right,
have these days 5G fixed wireless to your home. And these
right.
are all different levels of service, and you have different amounts of data before they start throttling, and it drops way down.
Right.
For
And
VPNs.
that word throttling, that's another topic that I can add to this discussion in a little bit when it comes back to my turn again.
For the overhead of VPNs, they all vary, but you always have a penalty in affecting your speed. But some of them are
Yeah,
far worse than others. But always use a paid service, none of the free services.
right. Yeah, I use a company called NordVPN, and I've been with them for the past 4 or 5 years. And their software provides a lot more than just a protecting your IP address with a proxy server. It also has anti-malware capabilities. It removes tracking cookies, tracking URLs. It scans all my downloads for malware. It's more of a comprehensive security package than just masking your IP address.
Is that the basic package, Drew, or that's an upgraded package to do all that?
That's the basic package. I buy service in 2 years up front, and that gives me about a $3 a month run rate. So it costs me about $3 a month for their full service.
Yeah, I've noticed they've been doing a lot of TV advertising these days.
Yes, they spend a lot of money on TV advertising. And when it comes time for renewal, rather than going to the website and paying the $7 or $8 a month that they advertise on the website, you just contact tech support and say, "Can you give me a deal for my renewal?" And they say yes. They give you a coupon code, and you pay $3 a month again. So I have that running on my cell phone all the time. So if I'm at Starbucks, using their internet for whatever reason, but I subscribe to, I'm on Verizon as a carrier, but I use Visible, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Verizon, as my carrier. And for $35 a month, I have the full 5G ultra wideband service from Verizon. And when Hurricane Ian came through here 3 years ago and tore down all of the towers, Verizon rebuilt. I didn't have 5G in my house 3 years ago before the hurricane. Post-hurricane construction, I have 5G in my house. And I can, get very good Verizon coverage now. So I'm interested in seeing, now that we have a hurricane-proofed Verizon, cell phone towers, does my service continue after? 3 years ago when Ian hit, the cable went out, cellular service went out. I couldn't send a text message to anybody. It was just, I was completely cut off from the world. Now I have a weather radio, I have a ham radio, and at least the ability to listen to the outside world if I can't talk to them.
Drew, why did you adopt a VPN into your lifestyle?
I did it initially just because I wanted, a friend of mine who was a VPN user, kind of coached me into it, and gave me the benefit, the talk about public Wi-Fi's, and I was originally using it only outside the house, not bothering to use it inside the house. And then I said, when I go to a website, whether it's like a Macy's or a Starbucks or Home Depot, you go to their website and they know your home address. They can ping your router and know exactly where you live. And I just said, not that I'm not doing anything illegal, but I just kind of want the privacy of not having them know where I live. So I connect to a router in Miami, and if I go to a shopping website, no matter what it is, they think I'm in Miami, not in Sarasota.
So you get presented with different suggestions.
And I don't take advantage of it, but if you wanted to, you could connect outside the United States and take advantage of discounts in the United States that U.S. citizens are not entitled to because we're in the United States.
You mean like you could purchase things?
Well, like, here's an example. If you live in the United States and you want to watch NFL football, out-of-market football games, you have one choice, and that's to buy the sports package from YouTube. And that's about $450 for the season. And if you live in Europe, you can go to the NFL.com website and purchase the NFL package for about $200. And so if you are in the US, you can connect to a London server, purchase the $200 package, and then watch football for half the price if you were so inclined to do that.
So it's not in regards to any retail goods, Drew. It's just like services online.
I have friends that live in Canada that can't buy things from the U.S. Amazon as easily as they have to buy from Canada Amazon. And if they use a VPN, they can buy products at U.S. prices rather than Canadian prices.
Yeah, but they have to ship to Canada though. How do they get around? How do they get around that?
It somehow works its way out. I don't know how he does it, but if you are outside the U.S., you have an incentive to become part of the U.S. I have a friend who travels to Paris a lot, and he wants to be able to watch his U.S. Netflix. And so he connects up to the United States to watch the U.S. Netflix rather than the European Netflix.
That is to say, as long as Netflix continues to allow that.
Right.
Yeah. If you go with the one of the top tier VPN providers, like he has one called ExpressVPN.
Yeah.
NordVPN is another one that has a feature called obfuscation.
Yeah.
And if you obfuscate your VPN connection, it masks you well enough that they can't tell that you're using a VPN. But more importantly, if you are a U.S. resident, and he is, you can have a NordVPN supports a technology called mesh networking.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have you leave a PC in your house in the US running Nord. And then when you travel to Europe, you can route all your traffic through that computer.
Yeah, you tunnel into it.
And then you really are in the United States. Your traffic really is coming from a US computer.
Yeah. So it very much appears legit, and that also proves you are the customer you claim to be. Because they're getting it from the same IP address. And I don't think they really care.
And the MeshNet feature from NordVPN, for those of you who don't know, it's free. It's open source. So you don't have to pay NordVPN a penny to use their mesh networking feature. All you need is a free Nord account.
Okay.
Okay, I think we covered that subject very well. Shall we move on to a new topic, new direction? Does anyone have any questions, problems that they'd like the group to try to address? I know Pete's got something burning, you know. Come on, Pete, you've been pretty quiet out there out in the Hawaiian Islands. Unmute yourself, Pete.
He's trying.
There he is.
My hand was on the wrong mouse.
The one that was crawling for your cheese?
That's
No.
What do we got out in Maui?
It's slightly breezy. It's about 85 degrees where I'm at and sunny. And I'm glad I'm here and not in Florida.
You guys have had your storms come through.
Yes, but one thing we have is that big island that's south of us. It tends to divert either east or west of Maui. because it's
Yeah,
so
I
big.
remember watching those Maui fires on TV, and that was pretty scary.
It's pretty
That
scary.
was scary. And yeah, we do get the dry season, we do get grass fires. And a lot of them are started by our homeless population.
Mhm.
But it's paradise.
It's paradise. That's a good way of putting it.
Price, the price paradise, and some of the weather and some of the other things are prices of paradise.
Okay, do we have any questions for the group?
And I prefer to have a 7-day warning on a hurricane than a 15-minute warning on a tornado.
Okay, Aldo's got a question. Aldo?
Got a question.
Yes,
Or
sir.
I'm planning to get a new computer. Right now I'm running on Windows 10 all-in-one PC. And so I'm planning to get a new computer with Windows 11 pre-installed. And looking around, I decided to go for a mini PC
Hmm?
and just get a monitor, keyboard, and mouse. And probably the biggest challenge I'm researching now is how to transfer all my apps, let alone the files, into the new computer. And for one reason or another, I got about 100 apps. Most of them are third party. Okay, I'm retired, but I brought everything with my computer. It's got a lot of interesting stuff that I still use. So I'm doing research and found out basically a third party would be the easiest way to go. Did some research, and probably what stood out was a LapLink PC mover, among others. So LapLink PC mover professional looks like what I'm going to go for. Any thoughts or suggestions?
What you get out of those programs may depend on how good your backup strategy has been. Because if you already have your files backed up and well organized, the only thing you need to worry about is moving your programs and settings. And yes, LapLink is really good on that. There are less expensive ways, there are more expensive ways.
All right, backup. I have Coben, so I back up practically every day with all my files and data in different folders. So that I'm good, no problem. It's the apps, the applications or software. I got some that are about 20 years old. They cost like $5,000 back then, and I still use it. I still use it every now and then. So I got a few of them like those. And that's the concern is, will Windows 11 hopefully be able to load those ones?
That is uncertain.
And that I'm aware of. Okay,
Windows 11 has very good compatibility modes, but it can't run everything.
Okay, and I'm aware of that, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But basically, am I going the right direction? Like LapLink as
If
a
you do,
trans?
if you
Yeah.
do run into problems running older programs, first of all, you can keep the Windows 10 computer around and just don't go online with it. Second, there are ways of doing virtualization in other operating systems like Linux. And that won't cost you anything except how long it will take you to learn.
At this point, I need the shortest learning phase.
Yeah, Windows 11 has good virtualization as well.
Aldo, are you saying that you can't reinstall these programs because the original installation disks are no longer available?
I think one of them might be a 32-bit, and when we are looking at 64-bit running stuff on 11. Right now on Windows 10, I started off with on DOS. All right, so I started with DOS, then I went to Windows 3.1, then 3.1 I went to 95, and then 95 to 10,
Yeah.
XP, then XP to 10.
Although,
Yeah.
That was a big
regardless
jump.
of the hardware you've got, yes, you're supposed to have a 64-bit machine for 11, and it can be 32 or 64-bit machine on 10. However, 32-bit software runs on 11 also.
Oh, great. Marvelous. Molto bene, très bien, muy bueno.
And as I say, to get the best benefit out of it, you might be well advised to be running a 32-bit virtual machine
Okay,
or a container that runs in 32 bits. That's to avoid degrading performance on the rest of your operating system and programs.
understood.
Drew threw a link in the chat
Yeah.
that may be of help to you. This is an EaseUS PC transfer program. There's a link in there on how to transfer from Windows 10 to 11 using EaseUS.
What are the limitations on the free version of that, Drew?
I've never personally used it. I only found out about it because another user from another group chose to use it for himself. Being in the computer business and being a computer consultant, I would never do this for one of my customers. I'm a firm believer in doing a clean install of everything on the new machine.
Okay, agreed. But this does not help Aldo because Aldo is trying to use software that he probably no longer has the original installation disk, right?
Correct.
The old software that was $5,000 probably.
And yeah, and you may need to get the paid version of EaseUS to get that to work.
Right.
But we're not talking a lot of money. It's their software is under $100.
Yeah, it's affordable.
Okay, right. All right, that's good advice. Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Lower your hand, Aldo. Next question to the group.
By the way, I'd like to put in a little bit of a plug for Linux and its software. Even if you did pay for something in Linux, it's a lot easier to transfer programs. You don't have a registry. You've got a lot of other, advantages, but there are disadvantages because not everything will run on Linux.
I understand. Okay, the camera right now, for one reason or another, is not working, so that's why I'm not on. You cannot see me. I have two eyes. Okay.
That's all right. We got audio. That's good.
Yep. There's another program type of software available that will allow you to take your existing Windows 10 machine and create a virtual machine file. And then when you get your new computer, you could actually load in a virtual machine your old computer and use some of those old programs as if they were really on your old computer. That's
Now,
another.
One caveat, you might need more powerful hardware in your purchase decision if you're going to run a virtual machine.
Yes.
Correct.
And you're also sharing in virtual machines some of the CPU capability of the new machine's chip, and you're using a good portion, up to 50% of the memory in that machine for the host as well as for the virtual machine.
And also graphics.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm a heavy virtual machine user myself, and I recently upgraded to I bought a gaming style machine with a fancy graphics adapter and a 14 core i9 processor. And I went from an i7 with a 4-core processor and up from 32 to 64 gigs of RAM. And it's unbelievable. When I give the virtual machine 4 cores all to itself or 5 cores to itself, it runs really well on a 9. If you go for an i9 with a lot of memory.
Yeah, but again, you pay a price, literally and figuratively.
So Bob, you mentioned that there's programs out there that you can encapsulate an entire system into a VM.
Mhm.
That was Drew.
Oh, sorry, Drew.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. There's software that will take a bare metal computer and create a virtual machine out of it.
How do you do this?
Well, one of the ways of doing it is you take a piece of software that will take your entire system and turn it into an ISO image. The ISO image then can be used to read into the creation of a virtual machine.
Yeah, while other people are talking, I'll do some poking around. There are specific programs that are marketed towards scanning your old computer and creating a VirtualBox or VMware compatible virtual machine file.
I'd love to
And
know how to do this.
it literally scoops up your old machine and turns it into a VM.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also want to make mention that in Windows, there's a distinction between Home and Pro.
Yes.
Pro has Hyper-V, which is involved in a lot of this. It's a way of allowing virtualization. And even though Pro is a bit more expensive, it's the way to go if you're going to be doing anything like this. At least until they stop distinguishing between Home and Pro and they make you go to Enterprise. And it's no joke, they might do that in the future. So, yeah, Windows has ways of doing this, but you need the advanced Windows and you may need advanced hardware.
You used to be able to do VMs in, what was it, in Windows 7, couldn't you?
Sure.
7 does VMs.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do some of the other fancier stuff that Windows 11 and 10 can do.
So Drew, when you're doing a VM of a drive per se, how does it handle the old hardware interrupts?
Everything, all of the hardware gets virtualized. So you get a virtual motherboard, virtual video adapter, a virtual CD-ROM drive. And then in the case that you're using, whether you're using VirtualBox or VMware, they have a software product that you install into the guest operating system that allows the virtual machine software to talk to the guest machine. For example, one of the things that it does is it provides a virtual video adapter so that your computer will see a higher end video adapter than it's really there. VirtualBox and VMware are the two big names that I'm familiar with. I will try and post shortly into the chat a software program that you would use to basically scan it's almost like a backup program. You almost want to think of it like a backup. And it takes your old computer and it turns your old hard drive into a virtual machine appliance that can then be imported into VirtualBox or VMware. Microsoft does this for their developers. Any of you, if you wish to play with Windows 11 and you don't have it, Microsoft makes available Windows 11 Developer Edition, Enterprise Level Developer Edition, that's good for 6 months. And you can install it into VMware, you can install it into VirtualBox, or if you have Windows Pro, you can use the built-in Hyper-V software that comes with Windows. And that's a good way for somebody that is only on Windows 10, or if you have a Windows 11 computer that's a production machine and you want a play machine, the Microsoft developer virtual machines, they create what they call an appliance. And you import it into VirtualBox or VMware, and it turns itself into a brand new computer. I'm going to post into the chat a way of taking your old computer, and it's almost like putting it in the Wayback Machine. You can preserve your old hardware without actually having your old hardware.
Thank you. And while he's posting that, shall we go on to a new topic?
I just want to make a little mention that
Please do.
there also is a way to run Windows, including your old Windows, from a USB drive. It's Windows to go.
I'm just trying to figure out how to run my old OS2 box on
You
a
can.
in a
It can
virtual
be.
machine.
I was reading an article about how OS2 can be emulated.
I
Now.
was just, I don't know if I'd ever want to go down that road again.
I'm just saying,
I know.
if you can run Unix on Linux, you can do this.
I guess you could run OS2. So
Yeah, OS2, anything.
Oh, the three of us here that ran it.
yeah, the three of us here that ran OS2 War. I'm one of them.
Mm,
I think I still got a drive with it on there downstairs. So,
mm.
and I got a whole bunch of collectibles that Stan and everybody at Westside kept giving me collectibles for OS2. So I got a whole bunch of stuff, books and pins and pens and oh my God, it's just unbelievable. Anyways.
Too bad we can't bring back the old meetings.
Yeah. Well, we can. Some of them are on the YouTube
Yeah, the most recent ones.
Yes, the most recent ones.
From the last several years.
I was going through and looking and seeing if there was any old meetings on Jerry's hard drives, and I was not able to see any complete meetings. I did find little segments and pictures from the old meetings from 2015 and so, but nothing of a good that's worth posting yet.
Yeah, Jerry kept saying that he was not satisfied with the recordings that he was trying to create the same way I do with OBS.
Right.
And so
I have not found any of his recordings yet.
he probably trashed them all.
He probably
Because he
had them on tape
because he
or
wasn't
something. He just
satisfied
never
with
made them to digital. So, but he was a pack rat, a digital pack rat. I say that I can't believe how much stuff he accumulated. That being said, shall we go on to any other topics that we have out there? I think we could. Anyone have any other questions for the group? No, then I have a list of topics I sent out. Please take a moment to review them, and let's pull up a topic to discuss.
And if nobody else chimes in, I'm going to throw one in.
Please do.
It isn't on the list.
Oh, it's not on the list. Okay.
Yeah. But it was in one of the recent FYIs from Tim.
Okay.
And this was an item that he had about QR codes and security and fake QR codes and how they can damage you and your bank accounts.
Yes, they can.
So, one thing I could do, are people interested in this first?
Go ahead. Bring it up.
Okay. What I am going to do is bring up a document, and then if I do share my screen, it's going to bring up a very interesting, I think I can share just the browser window, so my document won't get in the way too much. So I'll have to watch what happens when I do this. I am going to go with share, and I am going to go with application windows. Let me see something. I think I would have to, I don't think it has the browser, does it? Under share?
Yeah, I don't
Share, open your browser and it'll be.
Oh, yes, it does. Here it is. It's just stuck on the wrong tab. Okay, so that is what I will do. Share sound in case I do anything in video. Okay, and I think I will use the standard layout, unless you want to see me in front of it, which you don't. Okay, so this is just going to be the new tab for a moment. Video thumbnails are minimized to optimize channel. Okay, let me move the bar down a little bit so you might be able to see something. And all right, now we're set. Are you guys seeing any black shadow over my browser window?
Yes.
I am.
Yes.
Two bars.
Okay.
And now you got a big block.
Is it just the horizontal, or is there also my document?
Well, now that you're moving around, it's become a very big black window.
Yeah,
Okay, but if I minimize it, it goes away, right?
that
Now
does.
we just have a horizontal one, rectangular shape.
Yeah, that's the one I can't get rid of unless there's a hide.
Yeah, you can hide it and just hit the escape key to bring it back.
Hide floating meeting controls. Better?
Oh, now it showed up in the middle
No,
of your
no,
Google.
It's okay. That will
temporary.
go away.
Okay.
Now we've got a full screen.
Okay.
Okay. So while I'm transitioning, you'll see a black box. Okay. Now what we've got is, I just want to give an overview of what QR codes are. So I open hyperlink. And there we are. QR codes, how they are,
Quick
what they
response.
are, and how they work. Everybody seeing QR code definition?
Yes.
Okay. QR code is quick response code. It's a type of barcode, which is used for rapid readability and high storage capacity. You can store a lot of data on these, and that's part of the strength and part of the problem with them. And they started in the automotive industry, et cetera, et cetera. So what are QR codes? They're easily recognized as the square-shaped barcodes that show up all over the place, and they're designed to store information in a way that digital devices can quickly read. These codes, made up of black and white squares, are common in various settings, etc., etc. This innovative technology was pioneered in 1994, and it was actually a division of Toyota that did it. So the earliest QR codes were called Kanji, after the Japanese characters, and Kana. But now they've got others. So they're versatile, capable of holding various types of data, including website links, phone numbers, and up to 4,000 text characters. That can include a computer program. Their utility extends into numerous practical applications. You can do app downloads with them, which you often do on your phone. You can do account security. They can be used as an authentication factor. They have Wi-Fi. You can do Wi-Fi connectivity. So if you want to get into a Wi-Fi network and you don't want to have to type in the whole SSID and password and everything, it can all be in something you can scan. But you better be very careful what you scan if you're going in a public Wi-Fi. And there are reasons for that. They can handle payments like Venmo, etc. There are other uses that are more innovative. In the UK, they have QR codes on some gravestones. This allows visitors to scan and access an online tribute or obituary. But there is a downside to that. If you are a person trying to collect information on people, you can get some very personal information that way. So you have to be careful about security and about access if you're going to do something like that. So the best practice, and they go into how you scan QR codes. And there are QR code scanners, and you can also on your phone, most phones, Android and iOS, will allow you to scan QR codes directly. That is rather hazardous because they're not verified for whether or not they're valid, whether or not they're good or whether they're bad. But anyway, the way the scanners work is you open the scanner on your phone, you point, and you scan, either using the app or using the device camera. Does somebody have something going in the background, or is that from me? Anyway, you can get instant results. Once the code is scanned, the encoded data appears immediately, and so on and so forth. Can it collect your personal information? Yes. Location data, scan metrics, the number of times it was scanned, and the number of times, the number of specific times of each scan. In other words, it can tell when and how many times the code has been scanned. They use that in advertising to see how good the ad is. Device information can also be transmitted. Can someone hack a QR code? This is the security aspect. Yes, they can be compromised. The most common thing is malicious URL embedding. So you can put a harmful URL inside a QR code. You might not even be brought to that site, but something could be downloading. And it could download malware or unwanted software or ads. Phishing expeditions, personal information might be dragged out of you. So you could also be brought to a website where you think it's legitimate. You start entering your personal information and that wasn't actually what you thought it was. So protective measures. Verify before scanning. I'll have another reference article in here that will tell you about several apps that allow you to do this verification. You can use a secure QR code scanner. In other words, some of these scanning apps have security features built in. Others, not so much. And always stay informed. Update yourself on the latest cybersecurity practices and educate others, as I am doing, about the risks associated with QR codes. And then there's a checklist of how to generate it. So if you generate a QR code, make sure you're using a reputable QR code generator. Double check your content. Make sure there isn't anything malicious in what you're uploading. And customize your QR code. There are things that can be done to make it more secure. Companies can do encryption and password protection, and you probably should do that if you put anything on a gravestone. As an individual, you could do it too, but it's more difficult for individuals. And then create and test the QR code before distribution for businesses, and monitor your QR code. Regularly check to make sure nobody's hijacking it. And also monitor where you post your QR code, because one of the common things people do is they put stickers on top of QR codes, even for parking. And then you're scanning something you didn't think you were scanning, and you just paid $49 for $1.25 of parking. Yeah, I heard Drew say, You know all about that in South Florida. Anyway, by following these steps, you can create QR codes that are not just effective in conveying information, but are also secure and ensure a trustworthy experience. You don't want your business or your municipality to take a hit for something that somebody did. So then there are other things that go into details of the parts of a QR code, and we'll skip that. So I'm going to skip a couple of more of my references. I will post this document into chat at the end. So QR codes and security. There is something which I might find a few things in from Duke University, so that this is not from a private company. This article does talk about QR codes. The codes themselves don't pose significant risk, but the target they refer you to does. Just like any link to a URI, which is, or a URL, or a file, these are all different things that could be linked to. It's not always safe. And QR codes do mask where they are redirecting you. Unlike in an email, you can hover over a link, but you cannot do that on an Android phone. If you could hover over a link, you would see where that link is going to go before you click. QR codes, as of yet, last I knew, unless you have a special app, you cannot do that same function. There are security apps that will let you do that to determine where does this QR code really go to. Okay, and then there's social engineering, phishing, and QR code phishing attacks within email, replacing the genuine QR codes in public places, which I said. Like if you're walking along a trail and you want a trail map, there'll be a QR code. Kind of feel around, make sure that it does not have I'll get to you, Pete. That it does not have anything like a sticker. There's something else that can be done. One of the methods one of these articles talks about is we used to use microdots in printing for authentication, among other purposes. Sanford could probably tell us all about how that was done, or a little bit. But now they can use what are called micro perforations. You can't see them, you can hardly even feel them, but when scanned with a good app, these micro perforations will show up, and they don't reproduce well if somebody tries to make a fake or a counterfeit. Pete, did you have any questions at this point?
No, keep going. I'll touch bases a little bit later.
Okay, because if it's something right now for this
It's
part
about
of the
2 hours, but finish your train of thought.
Okay. Because I will try to allow much time for discussion if we need it. And then there's for the users, check for suspicious code elements. I avoid using third-party applications to scan the QR code. What that means is if like a fast food restaurant offers you an app or some television show says, scan this QR code for extra content, I'd be a little leery of that, even though it may be legitimate. And there's more points. I verify the URL or URI. Okay, so just another one or two things. There are articles that I will reference into chat, which are about how they go about doing anti-counterfeiting, how companies do that, and guidelines for companies. And there's a company called ScanTrust. There's a company called AlpVision. There are others, and they talk all about what they can do. Now I'm going to go over to, we're probably all wondering at this point, how do I verify a QR code? And that's this article. If it will, there, we got it. The 7 best QR code scanner apps in 2024. And I do not know this particular blog, so you might take these with a little grain of salt, but this is where I found the information. They have a table which tells the app, the operating system, and the price. Many of these are free. Others may be free trials, and they may have some in-app costs. And it depends on what features you want, but then they're none of them terribly expensive at face value. The ones for iOS tend to be a bit more pricey than the ones for Android. I don't know why. And they have Android and iOS. And they do reviews. Kaspersky, unfortunately, was banned in the United States along with its other products. It was a good one. Okay, and various other things. Some of these I've heard of, some of them I haven't. At this point, I will, in fact, stop sharing my screen and try to get back to you guys. Zoom. Am I in the meeting?
Yeah.
You are?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
I just am trying to get back to my Zoom.
Hit the escape key
Escape.
to get that.
All right, I got it. Now I will stop the share. My share hasn't stopped, but
No. It's on the top of it's on the top of your screen.
Is it?
Should be in
Wait,
green
no,
and
it's
red.
on the bottom of my screen.
Oh, okay.
It shifted to the
Right.
bottom.
Yeah.
I moved the controls.
Yep.
Okay, we're back, and I believe Pete had a question, and there may be others.
Okay, so one of the things I'm playing around with is a laser cutting, laser engraving. And the software that I am currently using, which is one of the better softwares for laser engraving and cutting, has a function in there to engrave 2D barcodes, and 2D barcodes are QR codes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the question is, if I haven't played around with it because that machine is buried in a new shop and I haven't gotten that far back.
Mhm.
So I was wondering, is it possible in the code when you are creating it to not put a web page in it?
Oh yeah, they can
Because that's
use
what they're
for.
sort of saying.
Go ahead.
Basically for like the digital license of the file and the information of the file and how big it is and stuff like that, and where you can get the
Yeah.
all the information on the actual item. So it
Yeah.
would be engraved on the backside like a Christmas ornament, and it would have the information on it, but it wouldn't. If I was going to do it, I would not put a link to something.
No. Pete, what you're proposing is very common in warehouse inventory logistics. They use QR codes. Have you ever received an Amazon package? That's a QR code that doesn't have a URL. So you're basically putting on the product something permanent that identifies the product and various information up to 4,000 characters.
Okay.
So yes, another thing they're sometimes used for is authentication apps. But you don't want to store a QR code that's your password out in the open. They're difficult to obfuscate if you want to encrypt them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's next?
Not a question, but just to further your statement about QR codes do not have to be a pointer to a URL. It can contain whatever information you want it to contain. It's just what your reader you have that's going to read it. Case in point is our county got all new voting equipment this year. And when it prints out your ballot that's completed and filled out, you go and make all your candidate selections, and then at the very end you print your ballot. On that ballot is a QR code with all the all the candidate information and who you selected is all contained in there in that QR code, and that's what's read by the scanning machine at the last step.
All
So
right.
that means your ballot is no longer secret.
Well, no, it doesn't mean secret. Well,
It's supposed to have no identification after it's read to contain to you other than possibly that you voted.
Well, the ballot, now mind you, I'm an observer and I'm not part of the actual programming and don't know how to decipher and don't even know the ins and outs of what they're doing. However, their ballot does have a human readable results that are printed on there that state all the candidates, the candidate and who you selected for each office that's being ran. But then at the very end of the ballot, it re-encompasses everything and puts it into a QR code. And that is what I believe is read by the final, the scanning machine at the end. It reads that instead of trying to OCR, it reads the QR code. This is just my interpretation. I'm not part of the program on how they do it. So this is just my observation of what I think they may be doing.
Yes,
So
OCR is used to read QR codes.
Okay.
So Illinois is going back to the olden days of the late great Mayor Daley with his big mechanical machines, where no matter what you put up in the front, the voting in the back was what they wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, but I wouldn't go so far, Pete, to saying that we're back to the old days, because then the old days was vote early and vote often, right? And vote as many times as you can.
Quit voting.
So I don't know that, and this is not. I stated this is my county. This is not statewide. I don't know what the rest of the state is doing, or the other counties in the state. Each county is responsible for their own voting in Illinois, and they have their own voting people and that are in charge of it. I'm just telling you what's going on in our county.
So Pete, if you can stand in a place between all the voting machines and the place where you turn them in, and you have a bunch of stickers, and as people come by, you say, "Oh, to make your ballot valid, stick this QR code on the bottom of your thing." You can basically change the entire vote.
I think you'd have the Board of Elections on your tail so fast.
You couldn't get in there. It would have to be an election worker would have to be the only person that could stand in the middle there, and that ain't gonna happen. So
At least you're not in Cook County.
you're right.
Even poll watchers have to stand to the side.
They do have to stand to the side.
I am in Cook County, by the way.
Well, then all bets are off.
One thing you said, Bob, I want to clarify. So
Yeah.
the QR code, you said 4,000 characters.
Yep.
So you can't make a QR code be a picture then, right? It can only be.
If that's encoded in 4,000 characters, you sure can, or you can reference a picture that's somewhere up in the cloud.
Or you can design the QR code so it looks like a picture.
Yes, they
Yeah,
have done those
and-
as well.
And for those who want to have fun with QR codes, I put into the chat, there's a company called Tile that I subscribe to their trackers. They now have what they call lost and found labels. They are QR codes that are waterproof, washable stickers. And let's say you have a child and they have a lunchbox. You can take one of their stickers and slap it on the lunchbox and program it with their home address and phone number and name and everything. And when somebody finds the lunchbox, all they see is a QR code. They would need to scan it with their phone, and then it would then reveal who the person is they should contact if they wanted to return the lunchbox.
Yeah, you have to be kind of careful with public display of information about children, though, because if somebody from a distance scans it, or if somebody comes up and scans it covertly, they could have a lot of information.
So you
But
can put it on
otherwise,
the
it's a good
inside of the
idea.
lunchbox.
Yeah, I was just using that as an example. You could put it on a tumbler that you might leave at the park.
Yeah. If you,
Put it on the bottom. I have one on the bottom of my laptop, on the bottom of my tablets.
if you're reasonably careful about what information you include, that should be perfectly safe. It's nothing worse than putting a conventional tag in there. In fact, it's less readable.
They're good for putting on your luggage, so you don't have to scribble your name on a little tag. They come in handy.
Thank you, Bob. That was a great presentation. Anyone else have any other questions about QR codes and safety and security?
If you have a phone that does not have a camera that is capable of QR code scanning, I have two recommendations. There are two reputable programs, one from Microsoft and one from Google. They're both called Lens. There's a program called Google Lens and a program called Microsoft Lens. They're both reputable QR code scanning programs.
Do they also incorporate verification?
I don't know.
Okay. Because that's the other thing that I keep running across, that you want to verify that it's a legitimate QR code.
So on that list you showed us, Bob, that listed 7 different ones, I think.
Yeah.
Are you using any of those currently, off and on?
No, I don't do a lot with QR codes, to be honest. I have simply run across them in a volunteer organization that I'm a member of, and various trails around here and walking paths. We have things called town forests out east, and you can get lost in those places. And so you can call up a map at various waypoints along the way and see where you are. And
Mhm.
sometimes there's even an interactive map where if you have contact with your GPS, it can use your GPS location and tell you, here's how you can get out.
Mhm.
So they have their uses, but you should verify that it's a real, genuine QR code. Otherwise, somebody malicious could say, well, yeah, here's how you get out, and it could lead you someplace pretty dangerous.
Mhm. Right. I've seen people now putting, on the back of their car, businesses will put a QR code on their back windshield. And then if you're sitting behind them at a traffic light, you can use your camera to scan the QR code and get the name of their business if you want to hire them for painting or plumbing or whatever.
Yeah, and then you see people trying to scan these things on the highway while they're driving.
Yeah, yes.
I've seen that around Boston.
Only if they're in their self-driving cars, right?
No, I've seen it with people with like their elbows on the steering wheel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Boston. We're Boston. We do it our own way.
That they do. That they do.
Um,
But yeah, it's something they're doing. Businesses have QR codes. And the other thing you can do is restrict access to a QR code, so you need to have a password or something else, something secondary.
Okay, we need to move on. We've got a whole bunch of topics out
Yeah.
there, and I'd like to hear somebody say they want us to talk about something that's on our topics that I sent out. Otherwise, I'll have to repeat the same thing again next month.
And again, and again, and again.
And again, until I get this cleared out. Until
It's
someone
a-
says,
It's a conspiracy, Sanford.
It
We're
is.
conspiring against you.
yeah, that's right. Everyone's conspiring against me.
It's not, you're not paranoid if they're really out to get you.
Yeah. Just pick a topic, anybody. Dennis, what do you see?
Let me get to the.
Harry, do you see something? I got two Harrys. Either one of them. Harry
Well,
Nelson, you're being quiet.
I don't know what they mean by a text message scam. What exactly are they saying there?
Text message scam.
How to spot a text message scam is about halfway down, I think, in
Do you
your.
know what SMS
Yeah.
is?
Well, let's.
One of the text messaging scams that's been popular these days is you get a message from somebody saying that we were unable to, this is the United States Postal Service, we're unable to deliver a package because of an incomplete address on the package. Please click on this link to give us your information.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Huh.
You see them from UPS and FedEx, also DHL.
Amazon,
Yeah.
that's one of their favorites.
So by clicking on that, are you already compromised, or are they waiting for you to put in more information to be
They're
compromised?
waiting for you to.
That's a
put the
good
information.
question. It could be either or both.
Oh, wait. Clicking on it, you mean just reading it?
Just reading
Or
an
clicking on a
SMS.
link?
No, just reading an SMS, no. But if you click on the link,
Right. Okay.
you.
Yeah.
However, like I say, on an Android phone, you don't have the function to hover and see where it goes, unless you have an app for that.
Right. I rely on my phone carrier to alert me that the message that came in is possibly spam. I report all of those as malicious numbers.
I do
And
too.
there is a phone number that you can forward a text message onto. That will go to your service provider that will that you're marking this particular text message as a scam. If they don't give you the option of reporting it as a scam, you could send it to this number. And someone correct me, I think it might be, is it 7726 or something like that? Anyone can tell me? No?
Never-
How would you send it though?
You would forward it. You would like copy and you would forward, choose forwarding and just forward that text message
Oh, okay.
to, and it's actually, if you spell out the word spam, S-P-A-M, on a phone keypad, if they still have the letters of the alphabet on there, that would be the number that you send it to. And I have to go grab my phone to
Here you
see
go.
what that
What you
number is.
Yeah, there is. You can text the word spam 7726
Thank you. I did have that.
to the number 77. Yeah, this is a free service provided by the phone carriers in the U.S. to report spam and scam text messages.
Right. So you just basically click on the text message and choose forward and send it to 7726.
Correct.
The number.
With the message spam.
Right. And then they will mark it as spam, including who sent it.
Yes, and the carrier is obligated to investigate.
Correct. By law. So a lot of the text, I'm getting a lot of spam messages right now from Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and everybody else who's running for office, all telling me that they're running for office and they need me to donate money right away to that, to their cause. And it doesn't matter. I just pulled out the big names out there. It could be anybody else that's running for office, and I'll be receiving these things pretty much once a week. I'm getting them, if not a couple times a week.
Text messages, you mean, Sanford?
Yes, they're coming in as text messages.
Ah.
And it's saying, that this is Kamala Harris is sending it to me, or Donald Trump is sending me this, personally sending me a text message. How about that?
Everybody
get one directly from the VP or from the past president. I'm just amazed that they have my phone number.
All of those legitimately could be spam and not the real. I mean, it's really anybody.
So those are the most common ones I've been getting lately. Anybody else been getting these?
Yes,
I have.
I'm here. Yep, I'm getting them.
Okay.
Mm.
And I wonder where they get our phone numbers from that they're doing this with. Could be from voter registration, don't know.
The political ones, almost certainly voter registration rules.
Yes, they can get all that from voter, which is all public information.
Well, they just call my house phone, get my answering machine, and say nothing.
Mm.
Okay, anyone else want to talk about this subject, about spam text messages showing up? Yes, we do get them. And don't forget, you finally won. There, Timothy, you won $1,000. Kohl's credit, confirm, click on this.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I want more than that.
Yeah, I get a free tool from Lowe's.
Okay, that was text message scams.
I've had the tool offer from Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, and some from Harbor Freight. Everything is free these days.
This is true. All right, next subject.
Well, all the way down on the bottom of the list, how to disable OneDrive in 11.
Okay.
Down on the list. Boy, this list is long. So now I got to go from the bottom up.
Two up from for faster gaming.
How to run MS-DOS on my computer.
I was going to do that next.
I have a DOS 6.2 disk if anybody has a computer that it'll fit into.
Okay, I got it.
5 1/4 or 3 1/4?
3.5 inch, yeah.
3.5. I still have a 3.5 inch drive floating around, not in a box.
I have one in the computer that turns on.
So do I. Still got one.
I'd say it's about half to 2/3 down the list.
Okay, how to disable a OneDrive in Windows 11? Is this what you wanted?
Yep.
That's what they asked.
Okay. And tell me, Pete, why would you want to disable OneDrive?
Well, I just purchased a new mini PC.
Okay. Oh, you were showing us the picture of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we couldn't see
And
it
the
clearly.
purpose
So
behind
can you
this
show us
one is
this?
I'm going to create an all-in-one for my class at the grammar school.
Right.
And this has got Windows 11 on it. And I don't actually need OneDrive on there. And I'm not going to have a Windows account on there. I'm going to have basically the account I created for the class, which has got a Google email. So I'm just trying to, because I'm going through their network over there, I'm just trying to cut network traffic.
Right. So it tells you on here that you click on the OneDrive icon. It's down in the lower right in your tray. And double click on it, the OneDrive folder. Click on the gear icon. Boy, and click on pause syncing. Now they'll pause it for 8 to 24 hours. That's not what. Alternatively, you want to stop the application activity. Say quit OneDrive. Quit OneDrive.
And take it out of your startups.
Right.
Heck, I always take it out of the startup regardless.
That's what I do.
The startup.
If you do not log in with a Microsoft account and do not want to save to the cloud or sync to the cloud, I would disable that because it is a resource hog.
Right.
Right.
And it could redirect your files.
That's why I take it out of the startup, because it's a resource hog.
It's basically a trick by Microsoft to try to get you to fill up your OneDrive so you have to buy more space.
Here's another way. You can uninstall it. You can press the Windows key.
Go into settings and then apps and then install apps and search for OneDrive and then click on the 3 dots and you can uninstall it.
That's probably the best way to handle this, Pete.
Yeah, if you're going to do something which is essentially kiosk mode, you want to remove as many of these kinds of things as you can.
Well, the other thing, Pete, that you want to research, there are at least a couple programs out there that are for debloating Windows 11, taking out the features you don't want or need. Period.
Well, see, this is going to be, instead of taking a laptop in there, which I don't have a spare laptop right now, this is going to be mounted to the back of a monitor.
Right.
Then a wireless keyboard and mouse.
Right.
And I'm probably going to leave the whole thing there.
Yeah.
And
you're going to want a minimal.
All I want to do,
if you get the debloated debloated program and pass the Windows 11 through it first, then you can install the 11 debloated, and it doesn't have all the like Copilot. You probably don't want that. You don't want OneDrive. There may be many other features that are buried in 11 you don't want and are never going to use.
Question, Pete. Do you think in the classroom you'll ever be teaching about chatbots and AI?
possibly.
Then I would leave Copilot in. But that's the only thing.
Yeah. So the thing is, this is like an Arduino and a Steam program. after school. Currently, there's 7 kids in it. And they each have their own laptop provided by the school, which is Windows 11.
Yeah.
And trying to show them how to do things on 11 without having an 11 box in front of you and only having a Linux box in front of you is kind of difficult.
Yeah, it is. So you'll need at least a minimum. Go ahead.
So I decided to blow the $179.
Yeah.
And another 30 for a wireless keyboard and mouse. And make them all in one, because the all-in-one that I had available to me does not go to 11, and it's having hardware issues anyway. And just to make my life easier and faster.
Yeah.
Had box here.
Yeah, I think you've got a good idea.
So
I think you've
Pete,
got a good idea.
this is Prime Day. Why aren't you ordering it today and save yourself $50 or something?
I wanted it for yesterday because I wanted it for yesterday.
Yeah.
But then I found out yesterday was the beginning of their fall break period.
I look in chat, Pete.
So they weren't in class anyway.
Look in chat, Pete.
What?
Drew just posted one of these debloating programs.
Yeah, it's a PowerShell script that you can get from GitHub for free, and it will remove Bing. It'll remove a lot of the non-essential programs from both Windows 10 and 11.
And usually you can control what it takes out. So if there's a feature that it might say, I'll take it out, I'll say keep it, and because I'm going to use it.
Okay.
Like I say, you might want to keep Copilot if you're going to be teaching about AI. You might not. There are other AIs.
Lots and lots and lots and lots of AIs.
So the reason I'd use an AI in that, it would be to bring in code for the Arduino and the other microprocessors.
Yeah.
For microcontrollers. And,
you'll have options.
So the thing is, this year they changed their firewall at the school from last year, and the kids can't even get to YouTube anymore. So now I have to actually capture the YouTube at home and make it a MP4 and bring it over on disk so they can see it.
Mm.
Oh,
well, that's easy.
Because they have managed computers.
Oh yes, the kids' computers are all managed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what they'd be doing if they weren't?
Yeah. They get through a lot of stuff anyway, and these are 7th graders.
Yep.
Yeah, if you go to the Google support forum, the public community forum for Chromebooks, one of the most popular topics that people ask is, I have a Chromebook that I got from my school, and I can't load any games. How do I load a game on my Chromebook?
You reinstall the operating system from start.
Yeah, and the Google engineers will automatically close the post from anybody that is trying to inquire about how to navigate around a school-administered Chromebook.
That's right.
And most of the times, the Chromebooks that the schools give away, they're at end of life anyway.
Yeah. Bob Baxter, who sometimes joins our meetings out of Seattle, he often picks up retired school Chromebooks. So if you have any questions on how to get those up and running, I would suggest that he might be a resource to go to. He's not at tonight's meeting, but he'll probably be at one of the future meetings.
Yeah. Actually, the school bought new laptops. They're Lenovo's from Costco, brand spanking new for this.
Yeah, you've got to be careful though, because if they detect that there have been changes made to a computer, they may blacklist it.
Yeah. They,
So you have to discuss with them just what you want to do.
So tell us about this
oh, I
PC.
do.
Pete, tell us about the resources on this PC you bought.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the brand?
It's a
Off-brand?
it's an off brand. It has an N100 Intel,
Mm-hmm.
60 gig of RAM, 512 solid state drive, SSD, Wi-Fi 5, LAN 2.5, and it runs off of a 3 volt, 3 amp, 12 volt power supply.
Nice.
And it has a USB 3 and 4 USB 2.5s, 2 HDMI ports, a LAN and a LAN port.
Everything
In other
you
words,
need.
I can have a local monitor and I can go off to the room TV to show the kids.
And did you say this was Windows 11 Pro?
Windows 11 Pro.
Wow. Comes with Pro.
Good.
That's great.
What?
For that kind of price, that is sweet.
I know it's sweet. So it was like $50 off on Amazon last week, so it might have been a pre-Prime Day special anyway.
Every now and then they throw those good ones out there like that. That was a good deal. That'll work perfect for that purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, we have enough time for maybe one more topic out of our list. Could someone please make a selection?
I know you don't want to do DOS.
DOS. How do you do DOS on a Windows machine? Don't you just go? Isn't it as simple as go to the start bar and type command?
No,
I
because
believe
that's
so.
not true DOS. That's a variation of DOS. If you really need DOS, you either get a copy of the old MS-DOS, which I think is in public domain now, or you get a program called FreeDoS.
So what is the difference? You said the version that's in Windows when you type command is a version of DOS. It's not the full version.
That's right.
What is it not going to be able to do?
I don't remember the details. I remember reading a long time ago from Microsoft themselves. It's not a full normal version of the MS-DOS.
Well, we could click on the link in Sanford's letter and see what it says.
This we could do, couldn't we? Let's see what this link says. And this is control link. Yeah, let's see if this starts.
I'm not even sure modern Windows responds to all the DOS commands any longer.
MS-DOS 6.22. Oh, those were the good old days.
Yeah, that's the good old days.
The
That's
good
the
old
real
days.
DOS.
This is when we all really excelled because we got this program down pat.
Okay, you run MS-DOS with DosBox,
Right.
a front end for it to work on a Windows system with the original MS-DOS, which automatically tells you that when you bring up CMD, it's not the same thing. And then you go from CMD to PowerShell, from PowerShell into terminal. And those will all take the same kind of commands, but they're not real DOS. If you're really needing DOS, you got to use the MS-DOS and or FreeDOS.
Wow, look at this. You can even have folders on there.
So tell me, what are you going to do with DOS?
Not me.
Not me.
I have no idea, but Dennis really wanted to know how to run MS-DOS.
Well, there there
No,
are
Pete brought it up. Pete brought it up.
No,
there's a
I
bunch
mentioned it. That's all I did is mention it.
Okay, Pete wants to do it.
there
What-
was a
To me, it's two. Uno, dos. That's
If-
it.
if you go back into the 1990s and maybe a little bit in the late 80s, a lot of the video games that existed at the time ran on DOS.
There you go. There's your video games. Remember Oregon Trail? Oh boy.
I was wondering whether somebody wanted to hack into their local ATM.
Those had Windows XP.
Oh,
DOD,
I guess if you
the
I had to
Navy
think a
was
minute
using
about
DOS
that one.
up until about 2000.
well, no joke, but some businesses still use COBOL.
Oh yeah, that's still popular.
Yep. It's
More
still out
popular
there.
than most people think.
Maybe some of the government still runs COBOL. I don't know.
I know
More
payroll
likely
DOS.
Fortran for things like military.
Yeah. Fortran is the fourth most used program in the world.
Huh.
If you want to have a career that's you're safe with, learn Fortran.
Yeah, and learn how to reprogram pagers.
Drew threw in a little text over here about DosBox for accurate
Yeah.
DOS emulations.
Well, that's because,
this-
like I
this is
say, when
DOSBox
you're in Windows,
X.
when you're in Windows, it doesn't interpret everything correctly for the code. And so you have to have an emulator, or FreeDOS is a completely compiled version that will run on Windows boxes.
Well,
I think
And if anybody is interested, I have what somebody gave to me was a nicely repackaged installer for Windows 7 games that can be installed on Windows 10 or 11, so that you can play the old Solitaire and Minefield and Hearts.
Minesweep, yeah.
Yeah. If anybody is interested in those old style games, I have a copy of those that I can let people download.
There you go. Send Drew a PM in the last few minutes of this meeting. So we have time for maybe one more subject.
Hey, Drew, is that Florida hurricane? Is that a live feed up in your corner of your screen?
Yes, that is a live browser feed.
And I don't want to alarm you, but I haven't seen your dog move for 2 hours here.
That's just a static picture.
I'm surprised you could get a static picture of the dog. Topic.
Are you still recording, Sanford?
Yes, I am. I'm gonna stop in a moment if we don't get any more last questions. Otherwise, I'll consider this meeting concluded.
Okay.
Anyone else got any last questions or comments? No, I will then stop the recording